Hi, and welcome back to Own the Mirror, a space where faith and mindset come together, and we challenge ourselves to see beyond what is. I'm Deetra, the author of Mindset of Me, I See Fishes, and this is where we get honest, intentional, and aligned with purpose. So let's get into today's conversation. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Own the Mirror. So today we are talking about it's not discipline, it's alignment. Can I be honest with you for a second? I don't think the problem is discipline. I think that's just what we've been calling it. So today we're going to differentiate between the two, discipline and alignment. Because we say all the time, right? I just need to be more disciplined. We need to lock in. I need to get it together. And that sounds about right. It sounds very responsible, but oftentimes it's not always true. Can you relate to that? And if we're really looking at your life, looking at my life, we're already disciplined. Because don't we show up every morning for work, whatever it is you're getting ready to do every morning? You're disciplined. Maybe you're attending church every weekend. You're handling your chores, your responsibilities, picking up the kids. So that's discipline. We get up when we don't feel like getting up. We go to work even though we're tired. You're handling your stuff. You're showing up for people. Discipline translates to consistency, right? We're doing that. That takes discipline, the things that I just mentioned. So let's stop acting like we don't have it, right? It's not really about discipline. That real question is going to be what? Why are we not applying that same discipline to the things that matter to us? So let me say it like this. We can be disciplined, but we can still be misaligned. And alignment is when the life matches our words. So basically we're saying what we're going to do and we're taking the necessary steps to make sure that it matches. So how do we tell, if we are misaligned, if you will? So I'll give some examples. When we're misaligned, oftentimes we say we want more, we want this. So if you are new here, I believe episode 5, go back and listen to episode 5, because episode 5, we do an interactive where we talked about writing down what it is you require. And so in that episode, some may have written, I gave an example of, what if you wrote about you wanted more peace? So if you're misaligned and you wrote you want more peace, but you keep answering those phone calls and those texts and having those conversations that disturb your peace, we might be misaligned, right? So what if you said, another example was you want to grow, or whatever that looks like for you. It could be in your job. You could want more opportunities, but you're not creating that space to actually grow and do what it is you said. So again, episode 5 was really, really powerful because it forced you to think about the steps you needed to take to get to where what you've been asking for, right? So when we say all that, it's not really a discipline problem. I believe it's a decision problem, right? So I've even had to check myself, real talk. I've had to check myself on this because there have been so many times, guys, where I was handling everything. And as I mentioned before, sometimes if you're on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, she's got it together and, she's handling her stuff. But when it came to my book, when it came to this series, even this podcast, I second guessed myself. I kept pushing it off, when it came to expanding my coaching, I had no ideas. Like I literally drew a blank and I knew I was disciplined. I knew I was consistent in writing and getting the ideas, but I kept putting it off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'm not making time for it, right? Even this podcast. So I knew it needed to happen. I knew that I wanted to make an impact in somebody's life. And I felt it. Like I saw it. I felt it. I breathed it. I lived it. And I had to make a decision to move. And, vision without movement, it will really start to frustrate you. It will really start to frustrate you. Can anybody relate to that? But here's what I realized, it's a deeper truth when you start talking about yourself. But when you're speaking to somebody else, guess what? It comes naturally, right? But when you're talking about yourself and you're trying to do it for yourself, it seems like it's just so hard, right? So here's what I realized. It wasn't like I said, like I didn't have discipline. As I was writing this, I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm not fully aligned with it. This is what I said I wanted, but I know I'm disciplined, but I'm not fully aligned, right? So once something becomes real to you, it moves. I'll give an example. And what I mean by it comes real. I missed on my social media, I missed maybe one. I was taking some time. I was doing a fast. I had some things that I wanted to pray about and just make some decisions on with the help of the Lord. And I thought I scheduled I have this mindset of me Mindset Monday that I do. And I missed that day. And what got me, guys, was this person. She's a friend. And she texted me and said, "What happened? Are you okay? I didn't see Mindset Monday come across today." And I felt so bad. And sometimes that's all it takes, just a little bit of push. Because that made me realize that I was on the right track. That someone else may need it more than me, or someone is benefiting. Don't take it lightly. But I don't want to get off topic. But when things become real to you, you move differently. You start planning, you stop delaying whatever it is, and you make space for it. And that's what happened in this situation, and I'm glad I did. But I want you to think about something that you had to do. Really do. Nothing that was optional. It didn't matter if you did it or not, but something that was really necessary. Don't overthink it. Just keep, you kept postponing it, Now think about how you handle it. All right. So the question is, why doesn't your growth or your level that you're at right now, why doesn't it feel necessary to you yet? That makes sense? Why doesn't your growth or whatever level you're trying to get to that you said you wanted, why doesn't that feel necessary to you yet? So, when I look at scripture, I'm looking at, James 2:17. And it is faith by itself, if it's not accompanied by what? Actions, is dead. So I want to bring it on down a minute. Faith by itself, if it's not accompanied by actions, is dead. Now, that means that you can believe something all day. You can say it, you can talk about it, pray about it, feel it internally. But if your life doesn't reflect it, then it's not alive yet. So you have to take that necessary action, And I want you to really, really answer this question. Where in your life are you calling it a discipline when you haven't decided that it matters enough? Where are you calling it a discipline issue when you just haven't decided that it matters enough? Is it your time? You're disciplining that time. You're disciplining your consistency. But really, is it that you just haven't fully accepted what's going on to require what it's going to require from you? You haven't fully accepted whatever it is you want is going to require from you. Does that make sense? So because once you decide something matters, what follows, guys? Your behaviors, exactly. Just like that phone call, that text I had. I didn't think it mattered, but I knew what I wanted to do. But once I decided, you know what, this really matters. Not only to people, but it matters to me. And so what did I do? I changed my behaviors. I wasn't perfect. I had to go back to the planning stage and really figure it out. But I was intentional. I was intentional about putting that action in place, not only, again, for them and for my listeners and for my readers and for my followers, but for me, because I said in the beginning, that is what I wanted to do and that I wanted to make impact, right? So I remember when I finally made the decision to stop thinking about it, especially when it comes to writing my book, right? I'm a journaler. Why am I so afraid, not afraid, but so delayed in my actions to put this book out and actually finish it? And it didn't magically happen. Okay, I still had the responsibilities. I still had the full schedule, a very busy schedule, but I made it necessary. And when something becomes necessary, you find a way to show up for it. That's what alignment is. That's what we're talking about. We're not trying to say, hey, be perfect. I'm not trying to say, you're not going in the right direction. But when you are consistent, it leads in the right direction. So today, stop saying you lack discipline. Stop saying that. And I want you to talk to yourself. I do it all the time. Talk to yourself and ask, am I living in a way that matches what I say I want? Am I doing the things that I say I want to do? Am I growing, or am I in putting limitations on myself because I'm afraid to take the next step? If you're answering no, that what you want to do is not matching what you say, if that answer is no, then that's what your work is. That's what you have to do. And remember, there is a difference between discipline and alignment. So as we always say at the end of our podcast, our mantra, I don't wait for clarity. I move in faith. I build through uncertainty and let purpose catch up. And guys, always own the mirror. Thank you for listening to Own the Mirror, where faith and mindset come together on purpose. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.